Hello my dear students, in our today's class we are going to discuss about Sale of Goods Act 1930. Sale of goods. So let us see what is the meaning of sale of goods first. The sale of goods is nothing but the transfer of goods from one party to the other party. The transfer of goods or a property from one party to the other party for a certain price is called as sale of goods. Right. Now what do you mean by goods here? Goods. Goods are nothing but any movable property. Any movable property except currency. Any movable property except currency is treated as goods. Now, how many types of goods are there? There are three types of goods. One is existing, future, and contingent. These are types of goods. Goods are of three types. One is existing, future, and the other one is contingent. Now let us see the essential elements for sale of goods, for performing sale of goods. Essentials of sale of goods. Essentials of sale of goods. So what are the minimum requirements or what are the essential elements to perform sale of goods? So let us see. The first one here is parties, goods, contract, price. So these are the essential elements, and transfer of ownership also. Of ownership. So now let us discuss about each category or each element, right, which is required for performing sale of goods. The first one is parties here. So there are two parties in sale of goods. How many parties are there? There are only two parties in sale of goods. One is seller and the other one is buyer. Seller and buyer. There are two parties in sale of goods where the exchange of transactions takes place between seller and buyer. So these two parties are exchanging the transaction in sale of goods. Right. So any of the both, like seller and buyer, both of them can act as promisor. Sometimes seller can act as promisor or sometimes buyer can act as a promisor or offerer. The party whichever is giving an offer is treated as offerer here. Sometimes seller can make an offer. Sometimes buyer can make an offer. Right. So any of the both can act as promisor or offerer among the both of these parties. Right. There are two parties, one is seller and the buyer, who exchange transactions among themselves, right, to perform sale of goods. So this is about parties. Next, coming to goods, as we have discussed earlier, goods are of three types: existing, future, and contingent. Existing goods, the goods whichever are available now, the goods which are currently present with the seller are treated as the existing goods or the available goods. The goods which are present with the seller, he can able to transfer it or he can able to deliver it at the right point, so that those goods are treated as existing goods. And coming to the future goods, the goods which will arrive the seller in future, or the goods which are not available with the seller currently. The goods which are not available with the seller currently, but he can get the goods later, or the goods are yet to arrive the seller. Right. Such goods are called as future goods. Coming to contingent goods. Contingent goods are the goods which may be available, may be or may not be. May be or may not be. The goods which may be available with the seller may not be available. Right. Such kind of goods are called as contingent goods. We can explain these goods with an example. Like A and B are having a contract or an agreement between them. A and B are having a contract between them. A is a farmer. B is a party. Right. So A is making a contract with B that A is a farmer of mangoes. Right. So he will cultivate mangoes. Farmer of mangoes cultivation. So this farmer has an agreement or a contract with B saying that he will transfer the goods of mangoes, or he will sell his goods. Like, what are the goods? Mangoes to B. which will be available in the month of May. In the month of May. This agreement is made in the month of January, for example. This agreement is made on January. What agreement? The farmer A want to sell mangoes to B. Agreement to sell is being done here. A is promising B that he is going to sell his mangoes to B in the month of what? In the month of May. This agreement is made in the month of January. So he is making a contract on future goods, the goods which will arrive to the seller in the future. So that goods are also may arrive or may not. For example, in the month of February, in the month of January, this agreement is made. But in the month of February, due to earthquake or due to cyclone, the whole yield is being lost. There is no yield of mangoes to the farmer. There is no yield of mangoes to the farmer. Then what happened? Farmer cannot, this party cannot deliver the goods. So these type of goods which may be available, the goods may be available or may not be available. Such kind of goods are called as contingent goods. Right, understood. Now coming to the next essential element is contract. Contract, and the next essential elements price and transfer of ownership. Right. Contract, there must be an agreement or there must be a valid contract between the seller and buyer to perform the process of sale of goods. To sell a product, there must be an agreement or there must be an understanding or there must be a contract, valid contract between the seller and buyer. So in order to sell the goods, so there must be a valid contract, which is an essential element in performance of sale of goods. Right. In the same way, the next one is price. Price. There should be a certain price. There should be a certain price when we are transferring a good, when we are transferring property, or when we are transferring goods to another party. When a party is transferring goods from that party to another party, it should be exchanged for certain price. Then only it is a valid sale of goods. There must be a proper price which is to be fixed to the product, which is to be fixed to the goods. Then only it will be a valid sale of goods. Right. In the same way, the transfer of ownership. In sale of goods, right, the transfer, the possession is also, the possession of the goods will also get changed. There will be an immediate transfer of ownership. After the sale, there will be an immediate transfer of ownership from one party to the other party. So this is called as transfer of ownership. So these are the essential elements which are required, or these are the essential elements which are needed in order to fulfill the sale of goods, or in order to make a valid sale of goods, or in order to perform sale of goods. Now we will discuss the differences between sale and agreement to sell. So these are the differences between sale and agreement to sell. So how sale is distinguished from agreement to sell. So we can see the characters here. So the first one is type of goods. So type of goods, in sale, we can do the sale only with the existing goods, the goods which are existing, which are available currently. Only with those goods we can do the process of sale, or we can perform the sale of goods. Right? Whereas coming to agreement sale, agreement of sale or agreement to sale can be done with existing goods as well as future goods, the goods which will arise in the future. For that, an agreement can be made with the buyer. So agreement to sell can be made with existing and as well as future goods also. Coming to the second character, liability of sales tax. Liability of sales tax. So here in this category, in the sale category, sale is liable for sales tax. Whereas coming to agreement to sell, it is not liable for sales tax, because the process of selling or the process of sale is not yet completed, or the performance of sale of goods is not done yet. Right. So now coming to the other thing, like transfer of ownership. In sale of goods or in sale, the immediate transfer of ownership takes place. Immediate transfer of ownership after the sale. Right. So coming to agreement to sell, there is no immediate transfer of ownership, because the goods are yet to be transferred. So there is no transfer of ownership in agreement to sell. Coming to the next one, type of contract. In the sale, as the transfer of goods will get completed or it gets performed, it is considered as executed contract. Right? The obligation of transferring the goods or delivery of goods is done in sale of goods. So that is the reason it is considered as executed contract. Whereas an agreement to sell, the goods are yet to be transferred. So it is considered as executory, the contract which is in process, which is yet to be completed, or the sale has to be done. So that is the reason it is considered as executory contract. Coming to the last thing, like risk of loss. Ultimately, we know in the sale, the goods are transferred to the buyer. The seller transfers the goods to the buyer. So the risk will be with the buyer. Right? The buyer has to face the risk. But coming to agreement to sell, the transfer of goods are not taking place yet. So that is the reason the goods are left with the seller itself. So the seller has to take the risk of loss to be paid by the seller and agreement to sell. So these are the differences, or in this way sale is differentiated with agreement to sell.